FTW Broadcasting here for the win. We bring you hot League of Legends action, and right now we're about to cover the release notes version 1.0.0121, and with me is my boy Danny and King of Town, and they're going to discuss each of the balance changes that have occurred in this patch. There are release notes listed here for PvP.net. I'm going to skip those because who cares? It got better. That's what I will assume. It did get better. So our first hero up on the plate is Akali. And here are the changes that happen to Akali. If Akali uses Shadow Dance on a champion, she will attempt to attack the target upon successfully arriving. MBD, tell me what you think of this in 20 seconds or less.
Well, there's not really much to say about this. It's merely just a improvement to her quality of life. They made the same changes to Blitzcrank and Poppy in the last patch, and she just got missed. Basically, it means when she uses her ultimate, you won't have to right-click on the target. She'll immediately start attacking the target. It'll help with her Mark of Assassin. It's just, you know, like I said, quality of life. Not much to it there, and she just got missed, unfortunately, the first time around.
Minor correction, Mr. Wall. That's Doctor, the King of Town. But moving on, Akali, I don't like it. I don't like the change because I don't like Akali. Anything that makes her life easier, I'm opposed to.
All right, excellent point. You did, however, lose brownie points with the moderator. It is never a good idea to challenge the moderator. You're only going to piss him off, and he's going to ask you questions that you don't want to have to answer, Doctor. You should know this from all the press conferences you do as a chief scientist. Let's move on to the next hero, Alistar, the big cow from outer space. His headbutt ability power ratio was reduced 0.7 to 0.8. Pulverize ability power ratio reduced from 0.5 to 0.6. Triumphant Roar ability power ratio reduced 0.2 to 0.4. We're going to go to you, Doctor of Town. Please tell me in 1 minute or less why this change is good or bad. And if you are not correct, I will eject you from the show. Go.
Well, Alistar, basically AP Star has been made less viable, which I oppose. I like AP Star. I think he's interesting. They're really trying to force people to use Alistar as a tank. Alistar as a tank is a good tank, but AP Star is fun and kind of cheesy.
All right, I guess that's the end of your point there. MBD, do you agree or disagree? Do you like AP Star? I want you to start. Tell me whether you like AP Star, and then move from there.
First, I want to say that you spoke backwards when you said the AP ratios. You said 7 to 8. It's actually 8 to 7, and you did that for all of them, which is fine. And I'm going to correct the moderator. Now, me and King of Town are on the same level of you hating us. But moving on, I actually think these are pretty good changes, and that's coming from somebody who plays AP Star and loves AP Star. He is easily my favorite hero, and I've been loving playing him as AP. I've played him as pretty much AP since beta even, and I've more recently I've gone towards rushing the Deathcap. I usually just used to rush Sheen and then go a couple aura items. But what this is doing is it's kind of making him, it is lowering how great he is at an AP burster, and that's good because the problem with him being an AP burster is that his ultimate was too good, and made him. You didn't need to have to get any tank items, and you can tank, and you can still do a ton of damage. What this does is you can't quite do as much damage, and you can't heal for as much when you stack AP, and I think this was the right choice, because otherwise they would have had to have nerfed his ultimate, and his ultimate is kind of iconic to him, and is really good, so he's still going to be able to get in there
10 seconds
and pound him. Basically, it makes Tank Alistar more, by lowering AP Alistar, it makes Tank Alistar very good again, and you don't just rush Deathcap with him. I think it's good.
Cutting you off right there. Good points. Yeah, overall, Alistar needs to have a weakness. This is my opinion. Alistar needs to have a weakness, and this basically gave him a weakness, so I agree with your points there. Let's move on to the next hero, Ashe, somebody that I've been playing and sucking with horribly recently. And Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the global stun, I guess you could call it, looks like the cooldown has been reduced to a standard 75 at all levels. And, I'm sorry, increased. Cooldown has been increased to 190. I'm the worst moderator ever. The cooldown has been increased as opposed to being 75 at all levels. The slow duration no longer scales with your level and now only slows for 3 seconds at all levels. So what do you guys think of this nerf to Enchanted Crystal Arrow KOT?
Well, it's not horrible. It's not great. It definitely reduces your ability to cheese by doing things like teleporting to wards and things like that. But it's not horrible. It's not a horribly long cooldown. I'm sad. I do like Ashe. I think the Crystal Arrow is iconic for her, but I don't necessarily feel like it needed to be nerfed, but the nerf doesn't hurt that bad.
All right, MBD, what are your thoughts on the matter? Is Ashe an extremely OP hero to you right now, or do you feel like this was even Ashe was even an issue right now?
She is not really an issue. I'm not sure what you're talking about, teleporting the wards or whatever. I think you're getting ahead of yourself. But that aside, she's not really an issue, I found, in our elo. But we are in a low elo, and we play solo queue a lot. And where she was an issue is in the 5v5 queue. In the patch preview, Morella said that she was always a first pick and always first ban. She wasn't really banned that often, but you saw her as the ranged DPS a lot. And that's because a good team using her arrow will jump on the arrow when you use it. And she's much, much more powerful in a coordinated team, which is why a lot of people are confused about this. As far as solo queue is concerned, because she didn't seem to be that big an issue. In the end, I don't think it's a huge nerf. It's only 5 seconds at top level,
10 seconds,
15 seconds at the mid game. So, not going to hurt solo queue that much. Important for the 5v5.
All right, fair enough. Decent points. And if I were to say that there was a score between the two of you, I'd say that you both haven't gotten any points yet. But hopefully you will moving forward. Blitzcrank looks like a quick little fix for him. Rocket Grab now has a proper animation. I have not seen that animation personally. Guys, did you feel like Rocket Grab, we'll start with MBD, did Rocket Grab look crazy to you? Do you feel like this needed to be fixed?
I didn't really see any issues. Sometimes I would see it weirdly going to the side. I think this is probably just, I don't even know why they would even note something like this, but it seems like it's just a small bug fix. It probably doesn't have any effect on balance whatsoever.
All right. KOT, any thoughts, or moving on?
No, agreed. Who cares? Let's go.
Very good. I think KOT wins that round. He is in the lead 1-0. Thank you very much. Excellent point, KOT. Moving on to Brand. Fixed a bug where Pyroclasm would insta-kill enemies under some circumstances. Great, you fixed a bug. Moving on to Ezreal.
I actually want to talk about that bug because it's kind of hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Basically what would happen is using certain abilities like Lee Sin's shield or safeguard, if just the right things happened, and this would actually happen, I think it's mentioned with Fiddlesticks down there, it is the same bug. When you use the shield, you would appear right on top of your ally, like literally on top of them, and usually the engine would push you out. But there's that period where you're literally, the distance between you is 0. And if they hit Pyroclasm or Dark Wind at that point when your entrance was 0, for some reason, they would literally bounce 1,000,000 times and kill you instantly. And that is just hilarious to me.
Why weren't we spamming that all over the place to bump up our elo?
It's really difficult to pull off. It's kind of a random thing to happen.
Oh well. But that's just our thing to try to do something that stupid. KO, any points or you want to move on?
Nope, moving on.
KOT is in the lead 2-0. Danny, you've got some catching up to do. Ezreal. The moderator decides, folks. There's only one moderator in this patch notes cast. Tuned Ezreal's auto attack frames to be more responsive. Very good. True Shot Barrage cooldown is reduced to 80 from 100. And Essence Flux mana cost reduced to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 from 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. Ezreal, what were your thoughts about Ezreal before this patch? Did you feel like anything was necessary, KOT? And if so, or if not, what do you think of these changes?
Well, I feel like he got nerfed too hard. He's not really very viable right now. He's just not very good. I don't know if these changes are going to be enough to make him good enough for people to play again. But it's a step in the right direction.
All right, fair enough. So you feel like he was way underpowered, or at least significantly underpowered enough to make him not viable? That's what you're saying, KO?
I'm saying he got hit way too hard with the nerf bat.
Way too hard with the nerf bat. I like that. That is humorous. However, we're not here for humor. -1 point. You're only up 1-0. Danny, what are your thoughts on this?
I actually agree. He has not been very viable. They nerfed him really hard. Ezreal is a very difficult champion to balance, though. With that built-in blink, and mostly skill shots, he's very skill-based, and if you balance him so that even the lesser players can use him and be effective with him, he becomes devastating for the high-level players, and that's what was happening with him long ago. So they nerfed him down and they're trying to bring him up so that maybe he won't be great if you're not good with him, but the high-level players make him very viable. His issue is there's a million better carries. Why pick Ezreal when you could pick Corki?
Excellent point. Let's move on to Fiddlesticks. Fixed a bug where Dark Wind could insta-kill people under some circumstances. Gonna take this one straight to you, MBD. Are you aware of this bug, and how exactly does that one work?
Yeah, I am aware of it. I explained it when you tried to skip Brand earlier.
Same bug.
Yeah, I even mentioned that it was the same bug.
Yeah,
Oh.
moderator is -1 point.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, whatever. I'm the only moderator here, so I insta-win at the end. Will of the Warrior, etc. So, KO, any points there? You want to move on?
No, who cares?
Who cares indeed? Gangplank, I know this is a hero that you play a lot, quite a bit, KOT, as you are a pirate as well, in addition to a Doctor, Rockstar, and Professor. Grog-soaked blades max stacks reduced to 4 from 5. I know in our elo, Gangplank is banned pretty much every single game. What are your opinions on his power level currently, and do you think this debuff here is really gonna do anything?
I feel like you got a very gentle tap from the nerf bat. So he's definitely still viable. He's definitely still going to be a powerhouse at probably all ELOs. He's probably going to be a common ban. But now it makes it a little less difficult for him to be a super fast jungle. And it makes it a little more difficult for him to get just a ton of early kills really easily.
Fair enough. MBD, thoughts on this?
Well, this is very much, me and Kingtown talked about this a lot. We thought this was exactly what was going to happen to him. Drop the max stacks. It's, like he said, a very, very gentle tap. And we'll just see how it works. He's just too fast of a jungler before that. And I think he's been doing well. They needed to give him a kind of a role, and he's been very effective. And I like that they're only doing a slight nerf rather than overdoing it.
All right, fair enough. Danny, you just got a point there. That was an excellent, excellent round. It's tied up 1-1. So who's going to even things up? Irelia, this point system is just absolutely impeccable. Irelia, Blade Surge mana cost changed to 60, 65, 70, 75. You see the numbers from 70. Transcendent Blades damage reduced to 80, 120, 160 from 85, 135, 185. MBD, take it away. Do you feel like these changes were needed at all?
I would agree. I played a decent amount of Irelia, and when she, if you get fed, she is almost unkillable. And Ginsu actually was posting on his Twitter that her mana costs were making him rage, and you can almost count on that. She can, and especially with the damage from Transcendent Blade, adds you all that healing. She can build tanking and do a lot of damage. And what he wants to do, and he posted on the forums about this, he wants to make it so that if you build tanky, you're not necessarily doing a ton of damage. So if you build heavy damage, you're still killable. That's the problem. And he also mentioned someone like a Brand is even if he gets fed like a million kills, you can still kill him. If Irelia is fed, you can't kill her, and that's what this is all about.
All right, fair enough. KOT, counterpoint?
No, none. I've never played Irelia. I don't see her very often. She's just not that big of a deal to me.
All right, fair enough. I don't think we can call a clear winner on that round, so we're going to have to move forward. Jarvan the Fourth. All right, has a couple different things here. How do you pronounce that correctly? Demacian Standard?
Demacian.
Demacian Standard. The cooldown has been increased to 13 from 12. Damage reduced to 6105. You see the numbers. The damage has been reduced on that move. Dragon Strike damage reduced as well. I will not read all those numbers because I'll probably say them incorrectly. Jarvan, KOT, have you played a little Jarvan, or what do you think about Jarvan right now? Jarvan is a common ban I've seen in my noob ELO.
Jarvan's also a great jungler. Jarvan's a great melee carry. Jarvan's great early game. The problem with Jarvan is he's kind of great everywhere, and so he's a little unfair. He can pretty much do anything and everything he wants. So this is once again a pretty gentle tap with the nerf bat. He'll probably get nerfed again, but this is definitely once again a step in the right direction.
MBD, take it away. 20 seconds or less.
Yeah, I agree. Jarvan, you know where else Jarvan is great? Solo top. He will stay in that solo top lane forever, and then show up and drop you in his crater and still do a ton of damage while being tanky. So they needed to nerf his damage a little bit because I think they really want him to be a tank, and he just does too much damage.
All right, fair enough. We're about midway through these patch notes, so I have a bonus question for you guys, and there is a correct answer, and you have to answer in 20 seconds or less. Bonus question is, who would win in a fight, 1 Baron or 4 dragons? KOT.
Well, I think that it would be impossible since barons and dragons are mythological creatures.
All right, that was a answer. MBD, what do you think about the situation? 4 dragons versus 1 Baron.
The Baron has AoE damage, so it's easily the Baron.
What if the dragons hop up on the cliff and split up, pro style?
It can hit you on the Baron can hit you on the cliff.
All right, fair enough. And the correct answer was Baron. The correct answer was Baron. Danny gets a point there, pulls into the lead 2-1. All right, and we're here with Jax. The next item up for bids, Leap Strike, can now target wards again, but will reveal wards to enemies when used in this manner. Has this pissed you off from time to time, MBD?
No, not really. I never had an issue with the wards. We didn't see it a lot at our elo, but people were really, really pissed when they got rid of the ward jumping, and I understand why they did it. It was kind of annoying for someone like a Rammus or, you know, blocking other skill shots, but I like Riot listened to the community, and they brought it back in for Jax and Katarina. You see her down there, and they also brought it in for Lee Sin. They brought it back, and they kind of balanced it by making it reveal the ward for a second, so if you don't know what ward jumping is, you've never seen it before, and they mentioned this in their patch preview, that, and you're seeing some video of the patch preview and some ward jumping happening right now, that it shows the ward, so it kind of lets people know, hey, this is happening.
Right. And you know that the ward's in that location, so you can go destroy it later. KOT, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's a pretty fair change. I feel like teleporting to wards is another thing. Basically, anytime you try and target a ward with some move that will move you towards it, it reveals the ward. And I think that's fair. You know, it's only fair that if somebody's going to come in, you have to be able to see them. You know, wards are cheap. Teleport you can get anytime you like. So it really kind of just removes cheese ganks. Not removes, mitigates cheese ganks a little bit.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to the next hero, or champion rather, Katarina. Shun Po can now target wards again, same thing. Any thoughts different about Kat as opposed to others?
No.
It's the same thing.
Same exact thing. Let's move on then to Kog'Maw, everybody's favorite. I'd like to have a pet Kog'Maw myself. Fixed a bug where Void Ooze was not flagged as an area of effect spell. Updated Kog'Maw's auto attack frame to be more responsive. Updated Bio Arcane Barrage attack frame to be more responsive. They're doing the same thing for Caustic. How do you spell that? How do you pronounce it? Caustic Spittles as well. So it looks like they're just trying to improve overall Kog'Maw gameplay experience there, as they said in the video. Also, Bio Arcane Barrage cooldown increased to 17 from 15. Duration increased from 10 to 10 from 6. And Living Artillery drop time reduced slightly to increase consistency, and evidently that's overall slightly faster. So huge improvements to Kog'Maw. MBD, I know that you're more of a variety player. You ever pick up Kog'Maw from time to time, and are you really feeling this buff that's coming to play here?
I do own Kog'Maw. I have played him a few times. I have not played him in months. I'm not really that familiar with him. I was aware that he was pretty OP for a while, and then they have since nerfed him. And it looks like by just kind of making him more responsive, they said in the patch preview that they're trying to just make him feel a little better. And, you know, if you've ever used a hero with a really good attack animation, someone like a Bran, you do notice a difference when their attack animation is smooth and more responsive. So hopefully that they can buff him without actually buffing him, by making him easier to play or feel better to play. And then Bio Arcane Barrage is his steroid. They felt like that was a very strong part of him. So lower the cooldown, increase the duration is a nice way of getting it up more without just making it up all the time. And then just the increase of the drop speed of Living Artillery, I think that's just a small change. I don't think anyone will really notice it. And I'm just not that familiar with Kog'Maw. I think this is going to be good for him in the long run, but then again, I still don't think it's going to pull him up to you're going to see him every game.
All right, fair enough. KOT, any points here on Kog'Maw?
Not so much. He's not played very often. He's not really that great right now. I think, again, these are steps in the right direction. This is more about evening out the rough edges than anything else. This is just about making him more playable and less of a jig champion, if you will.
Doing a jig and a dance and a shake. Excellent.
Correct.
All right, any other points?
No.
All right, fair enough. He does do a funny dance indeed. Let's move on to the next hero, Lee Sin. Safeguard can now target wards, same thing as the others. No points really of significance there. Malzahar fixed a bug where Nether Grasp would sometimes only deal 4 ticks of damage instead of 5. Do you guys feel like this is a significant thing at all for Malzahar KOT?
Not really. Malzahar is really good right now anyway. This is just making his moves work properly.
He is a super common pick in our ELO. MBD, any thoughts on Malzahar right now, his balance level?
No, he's really strong, but it requires a decent player. I don't think he's out of control right now. And I should say, I think I said ELO a couple times, but we all know it is ELO. It is not an acronym, it is a name.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to Rumble. Flame Spitter. Damage has been adjusted to 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So basically it has been changed around. I wouldn't say reduced, or it looks like it's been evened out a bit, because it used to be 40, 65, 90, 115, 140. So at the top end it is higher. However, at the low end it is lower. So steady increases of 30 in that damage for Flame Spitter as you move up. And his ability power ratio has been reduced to 0.45 from 0.5, which is very, very small change there. Rumble, KOT right now, how do you feel about Rumble, and do you feel like this change is something positive or negative?
I don't think this change is really that significant one way or the other. The only reason they're messing with Rumble is because he's considered OP in Europe.
Only in Europe, not in the US? MBD, pick that up.
Well, he originally was only considered OP in Europe. After DreamHack and people saw that he was banned all the time, he is now seeing some play in America, and he is a pain in the ass to lane against. So I think these are good changes, lower his damage to begin with, and they raised it towards the end, but they countered that with the ability power ratio. So they're trying to give him a light tap and keep him in. I don't think he's as OP as everyone might think he is. He needs a little tweaking at the beginning because he is very tanky. He does a lot of damage. I think this is a step in the right direction, and he might even be all he needs.
Fair enough, KO. Any counterpoints there? I did cut you off a second ago.
No. I don't.
Excellent. Oh, no. You don't have anything. All right, here's Rise, a hero that I don't see very often anymore, though he is one of the face heroes on the cover. Rise. Overlord base damage has been increased to 40, 65, 90, 115, 140, whereas before it started out at 30, then went 55, 80, 105, 130. So overall base damage has been increased. Do you guys feel like Rise has needed a buff? We haven't seen him that often recently. MBD.
Yeah, he needs a little love with Annie and Malzahar in the game. You need a reason to pick him, and you don't have one right now. So just a straight numbers buff. We'll see if it's enough. I'm not sure it's going to be.
That's very insignificant in my opinion. KOT, do you feel like this is going to sway a lot of players to go Rise again?
No. Rise has been and probably always will be a champion that noobs pick to just pub stomp. So, you know, giving him a little damage might help them do that some more. In order to make him viable at high elo, they would have to pretty much remake him. I don't see them doing that. He's going to remain a low-tier champion.
All right, let's move on to Swain. Ravenous Flock now heals Swain for 75% of damage dealt versus champions and 25% versus minions. KOT, what do you think of this?
I don't really know which direction that change goes because I've never played Swain, so I can't really comment.
Plus 1 point for KOT, so we're now tied up 2-2. MBD, take this.
This is painful for Swain. That is 2 hard nerfs in a row for him. They already lowered the damage. He used to heal for the damage he would have done regardless of armor and magic resistance. They lowered it so he only does the damage he actually did, and now they lowered the amount versus minions. Swain was a little out of control at first, but they have hit him really hard, and they need to buff him in other places. And I'm not sure why they decided to do this, but maybe they decided this is where they want to be as far as his ability works, and then after they do that, then they want to do numbers buffs. That's the only thing that makes sense, but it's painful for Swain players right now, I think, and I feel for them.
Fair enough. emotional reaction from MBD on that matter. Warwick, the next up for grabs. We're getting high up in the alphabet, so we're almost finished here. Hungering Strike now heals for 80% of damage dealt, down from 100%. I remember seeing from the video, they were talking about how Lanewick is basically an unmovable force in a lane. KOT, do you feel like Lanewick has been a pain in your ass in games you've played, or do you agree with this debuff?
Well, I agree with the debuff, although I can honestly say I've not had too many issues with Lanewick. He's impossible to push against, but if you're playing against him in a top lane and your goal is to farm and not push, then it doesn't really matter, because he's also not that formidable in a lane. So I feel like this is appropriate. I don't feel like this ruins Lanewick or ruins Junglewick. I think it's just a little bit of a numbers buff. Turn the damage down a little bit, or turn the healing down a little bit, rather.
A numbers debuff indeed. Danny, any points here? MBD.
I agree. I think it's a good choice. I don't think it hurts too much, but I would definitely disagree that him not being a force in the lane. He might not be a force for a while, but as soon as he hits 6 and the jungler comes to gank, you're gonna die. His ultimate just guarantees a kill when that jungler shows up, almost like it guarantees a kill when he's jungling. So, like you said, he was an immovable object. So, nerf that a little bit. And I think what we'll see as a little prediction, we're going to see the same thing happen to Udyr, who's making a laning comeback in probably next patch. We'll see the same kind of similar debuff.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Moving into this last question, we are tied up. And this is going to be a big one, because Yorick is huge now with these buffs. It was an underpowered champion when he was released. Now, major buffs here. I don't know if I'm even going to go over all of the specifics here. It would take me like 2 minutes to read all of this, but it looks like all of Yorick's moves have been buffed in one regard or another, and I will let you guys just take your pick as to what you'd like to speak about here. First of all, I'd like to open it up with, what did you think of Yorick just as a concept for a champ? And then if you could move into how you feel Yorick is balanced. MBD, start us out.
I think he's a great concept, really cool with the minions, and I was surprised that they went with a kind of beefy melee hero that had minions. I assumed they would have had a kind of a necromancer, stay in the back caster, so it was unique in that regard. Unfortunately, I have never seen a Yorick in a game ever, nor do I have him and played him, so I really don't know where he's at. Everyone says he's terrible. People on the forums bitch about everything, so who knows? All these buffs indicate that he probably was kind of bad, so we'll see where he is. I really have nothing to say, and maybe next week I'll have more to say about him.
All right, I guess that tells a lot that we haven't seen him virtually at all. So KOT, any counterpoints here? Have you played Yorick, and do you really have any interest in playing this champ?
I really enjoy the concept. This is really the first time we've seen a champion that functions based on summons. I think the fact that he's tanky fixes the problem of being able to kill him real fast and remove all of his summons. You know, of course, you're still going to have to play it safe and be careful, but because you're not a squishy, you'll actually be able to keep your units in the game longer, which is what you're there to do. So I really do enjoy the concept of the character, but like MBD, I have never, ever seen Yorick in a game. I don't have him. I haven't played him. So I understand that he's UP, and I suspect that that's probably true, considering I have literally never seen him in a game. But I don't know how UP or whether or not this is enough or too much. So it's hard to say.
All right, I think we were tied up on that item. Great points, guys. There is one thing left here, this item change. And Rabadon's Deathcap base ability power has been reduced to 140 from 155, so a debuff on that ability power item. I do remember from the video the developers talking about how AP had become a bit too powerful overall. They wanted to knock it down a notch. Do you guys feel like this is a good move, considering that AP was so underpowered for such a long time in this game used to be dominated by tanks really at the beginning of this year? KOT, pick it up from there.
No, I think this is an appropriate change. The death cap itself is expensive, but not that expensive, considering most AP carries can farm really well and really, really good. You're still going to get your bonus from the passive on top of that 140. It's still, you know, the best item to rush if you're going for max damage. So I think, yeah, this is just an appropriate numbers change. That really doesn't affect it that much.
All right, MBD, pick that up. Do you feel like Do you feel like this is good, or do you feel like AP heroes don't really need to be nerfed?
Well, no, I'm not seeing it as it is kind of a nerf to AP champions, but I didn't feel that the developers felt they needed to nerf AP. I thought they felt like AP was in a good place, but what they didn't want and what was happening, they didn't want the only option for every AP hero to be Rush Deathcap. They want to make it, I mean, it's fine if it's an item you get with every AP hero, but before it was, you rush it. You rush the Deathcap. Deathcap is too good, and I'm not even sure that's going to change this is going to change anything. I think they need to maybe make the other AP items more interesting, more powerful, give them something that you actually want. That 30% on top is just too good.
All right, fair enough. So maybe the other items need a bit more utility. They can back down the numbers and give them a little bit more utility. That's what you're saying as far as AP items are concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. Give them a little spicing, so to speak.
I like that, and the way you finished that point did give you an extra point. You win 3-2.
Woo!
MBD wins this first patch notes cast, I guess, here. And guys, this is our first time around. Thank you for joining us, KOT. Even though you did lose, you're a big loser. And but
you can still call me doctor.
You're still a doctor, rock star, professor, and all that with a 7-figure salary. So I guess you're winning at life, and you're a king, so you're winning at life. So I guess you have that going for you. But right now, you have been defeated, folks. We need your feedback in the comments below. This was rather long. We're just talking about it on a quick break we took. Would this be a good podcast type of format? I know what you're watching isn't going to be terribly interesting. We're going to have a few video clips and the text in front of you. So would you like to see patch notes as a podcast from us? If so, comments below. Very important that we get your critical feedback in the comments below. Danny's going to go ahead and pull up a heart slide for me. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, click in the center of the heart. Danny does a sick dance. We got our LOL playlist down there in the bottom right as that green link, and in the bottom left is a link to our channel. We also do StarCraft 2 as well as Star Wars The Old Republic, so check us out there if you want. And our previous LOL episode will be up in the top left-hand corner. Our next episode will be up in the top right-hand corner. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on Summoner's Rift.